It's time for Storytime Africa Tales. Welcome, my friends. Find a quiet place, relax your mind, and let this story carry you away. Long, long ago, in the heart of the savannah, nestled between a wide, flowing river and a line of ancient, wise baobab trees, was the village of Kabina Krum. Life was peaceful. Every evening, the rhythmic beat of the talking drum spoke of harmony, and children drifted to sleep serenaded by the chirping of crickets and the flickering firelight of storytelling. But peace is a delicate thing. It does not stay long in careless hearts. Living among the villagers was a young man named Sefer. He was strong in his arms, able to lift the heaviest sacks of grain, but his spirit was weak. He was plagued by self-doubt, and his heart was heavy with envy. Whenever a neighbor celebrated a good harvest or a successful hunt, a bitter whisper would rise inside him. Why not me? Why is their fortune not mine? Though no one else could hear these dark whispers, they grew louder and louder inside his own mind, poisoning his thoughts. One season, a chilling rumor snaked its way through the village. It spoke of fierce warriors from a distant land, marching relentlessly toward Kabina Krum. Fear, like a cold morning fog, crept into every hut and every heart. The men began to sharpen their spears. Their faces grim, the women started hiding their precious harvest underground, fearing the worst. For Sefer, this fear was heavier than a sack of yams. He was convinced of their doom. We will surely fall, he told himself over and over. We are not strong enough to face them, and soon he began to say this to others. His words of despair spread like a wildfire, and fear became the village's new, unspoken language. The air, once filled with laughter and song, grew thick with dread. The village elders, wise from many seasons, noticed a troubling change. Though no enemy had been seen, though no war drum had sounded from beyond the river, their people were already defeated. Their spirits were broken. Alarmed, they sent for the wisest man in the land, Nana Baju. His beard was as white as the feathers of an egret, and his eyes held the depth of countless seasons. Nana Baju gathered all the villagers under the great baobab tree, the very heart of their community. He said nothing at first. He simply placed a cracked calabash gourd in the center of the circle for all to see. The crack was not large, but it ran deep. Who broke this calabash? He asked, his voice calm but firm. A heavy silence fell over the crowd. No one spoke. After a long moment, Nana Baju continued, "This calabash," he explained, his gaze sweeping over the anxious faces, "was not broken by a blow from the outside. It was broken from the inside. A tiny hairline crack appeared one day, ignored. It grew wider and wider each day, weakening the whole gourd until it could no longer hold even a single drop of water." His eyes then found Sefer in the crowd, and he spoke gently, without anger. "A village is like this calabash. When fear, envy, and doubt are allowed to live inside us, to grow unchecked in our hearts, our community cracks from within. We become so fragile that even a child's push could knock us down." That night, following Nana Baju's counsel, every villager sat alone in the quiet darkness. They were asked to speak truth to their own hearts, to confront the shadows they had allowed to grow. Sefer sat by the river, and as the moon watched, he wept. He saw with painful clarity how his own inner fear had become a poison, feeding the fear of everyone around him. The enemy wasn't marching down the road, the enemy was already inside his heart. The next morning, as the sun cast its first golden rays on the village, Sefer stood before his people. With a steady voice, he confessed his doubts and the despair he had spread. He asked for their forgiveness and made a solemn vow to guard his heart against such weakness from that day forward. Inspired by his courage, one by one, others stepped forward to confess their own fears and doubts. With each confession, the heavy blanket of fear began to lift. Hope, like the morning sun, returned to Kabina Krom. Courage found its voice again. Days turned into weeks. No enemy ever appeared. Much later, travelers passing through brought news that the rumored warriors had turned back long before they ever reached the river, discouraged by their own troubles. Nana Baju gathered the people once more. A knowing smile on his face, he said, "Remember this, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you." From that day on, the people of Kabina Krom understood their strength wasn't just in their spears or their walls, but in their united spirit. And whenever fear tried to whisper its way back into the village, the elders would tap the talking drum, and its rhythm would remind everyone of the most important lesson: protect your heart first. Your village depends on it. The moral of our story is simple but powerful. True strength begins within. A united heart is the strongest shield you will ever have. Thank you for joining Storytime Africa Tales. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom from our ancestors. Until next time, stay strong and keep your inner light shining.